Hi, welcome to Box on the Box, Rock and Celluloid, Bok for short. I'm Over Box. So today I'm going to be talking about great opening tracks on albums. I've got about 35 listed in total. I want to skate through them really quickly, but I'll give you like sort of my 10 faves out of them. I've got my notes up here. So just start the list. Absolutely brilliant one is Over the Mountain, Ozzy Osbourne, Diary of a Madman, 1981. Great drum fill by Lee Kerslake, yes, not Tommy Aldridge as it is on the sleeve, in the sleeve. Then it just goes into that killer riff. Really good, kind of higher register, and I feel it really helps Ozzy's vocal. It's a little less whiny. Easily one of Randy Rhoads' best guitar solos. I'm not the biggest Randy Rhoads fan sometimes, but I will defend that guitar solo, his guitar performance on this track. Got a really interesting middle section. Pre-solo, what an opening track, much better than Crazy Train or I don't know, or other tracks that kind of get wheeled out by Ozzy. I would say Diary of a Man begins and ends, and we'll come to that another time maybe, with just the two best Ozzy tracks. So that's my first one there. Next was Stand Up and Shout, Dio. What a great way to announce he's left Sabbath. It's been 2 years since he's done a studio album thereabouts. How better to announce you come back with a ferocious track like that, Stand Up and Shout. It's almost like he's singing about himself. The production's like raw but immediate, and you got a fantastic frenzied solo by Vivian Campbell, fast drumming, Vinny Appice, Jimmy Bain holding it down, and like a roaring vocal by Ronnie. Perfect opening track. Pull Me Under, Dream Theater. Images and Words, 1992. Still remember the first time I heard this track. I'd heard the When Dreaming Day Unite. I quite liked it, but I wasn't really into the singing or the production. First thing which popped out on this was the build up, the mood, and then it comes in. You've got this fantastic guitar sound. This managing to be heavy and melodic. Really great vocal by James LeBray. Really cool chorus. Fantastic breakdown solo and so on. Again, a track announcing the band kind of rebooting themselves. They've got some good notices from the When Dreaming Day Unite, but not really any tour support or help from the record label. And they kept going, and excellent. Walk in the Shadows, Queensryche. We could pick other ones. Warning's great off the Warning. Best I Can. The whole intro of Mindcrime. But this is just a really good track, really melodic. It manages to have all the hallmarks that made it right great. It's kind of heavy, it's got sort of dark lyrics, but it's just very melodic. It's got a spectacular vocal from Jeff Tate. And it's short and to the point. Queensryche, one thing that gets overlooked by them, they can really write snappy songs they understand. Don't bore us, get to the chorus. Really good. Here's one for his instrumental. A couple of guitarists coming up here. Autumn Lords, Tony McAlpine. So as you'll know from the channel, I'm a big Tony McAlpine fan. Particularly Maximum Security solo album. Maybe you'll know that from our channel, sorry. But Autumn Lords is a great opening instrumental track. It's just epic in sound and feel, but short. It's got great playing, fantastic solo, brilliant interplay between Tony and himself. Yeah, he plays with himself, yeah. Brilliant drumming by Dean Castronova. I think it's Dean Castronova on that. Maybe it's Mama, but anyway, it's all great. If you've not checked out that, check it out. Malmsteen, You Don't Remember, I'll Never Forget. Really, this track to me shows all the hallmarks of what's really great about Yngwie. It's got a really, really good melodic, catchy song. It's got a great vocal melody, decent lyrics, great vocal performance by Mark Bowles. Yngwie, please get a good singer again. Everything's solid, and then he's got this beautiful guitar solo breakdown in the middle, and then he just goes into this epic solo. And at the end, there's a fade-out solo. So Yngwie gets to do his thing, and obviously that's the kind of main focus with Yngwie, but it's wrapped around what is a really, really good song. And then when Joe Turner came in, he did a good version of it as well. Malmsteen, when he wants to be, he's a good songwriter. Next one up, again, this is another introduction. It's like, hey, let's introduce a new band member, and this is Nico McBrain, and of course, Where Eagles Dare. Again, fantastic drum fill coming in, and then this song, I think what's interesting, it's got a different feel to other Maiden songs. Maybe it's kind of like Drifter, but up until this point, Maiden, it's kind of more frantic than that, and I think that sounded fresh. Really good vocal from Bruce, really good solos. You know, this is basically the classic Maiden lineup. It's taken them 4 albums to arrive at this, and this track announces that, and it's still a favourite track of a lot of Maiden fans. Brilliant opener. Next up, Cliche, Tom Sawyer by Rush. I think it's kind of a shame, really, that we hear Tom Sawyer so much now. Back 30 years ago, when I was kind of getting back into the classic stuff I listened to the 10 years before, because there was no good new music. Hearing Tom Sawyer again, hearing Moving Pictures, oh, amazing. And I still think Tom Sawyer's amazing. I love it. But you do hear it a lot. But it's just a great intro. It's just a great first track. And again, it's a statement because it manages to combine everything of what Rush had been doing up to that point. They've decided to go for the more sort of commercial song direction, as in part on the Permanent Waves album, but marrying that with progressive elements, and this does that. It's got this fantastic drum fills in the middle section. I think this is kind of odd time bit, isn't there, as well? It's just really well laid. The lyrics are fantastic. You know, the opening lines by Neil Peart. I mean, some of his best lyrics, and calling a rock song Tom Sawyer is just really good. Okay, I'm going to choose some sort of AOR-y, pompy ones now. So this is an interesting one, and this is an example, I think, these tracks where the opening track of the album may be that band's very best song, aside from being signature song. I think it's certainly the case with this choice, it's The Tower by Angel. So Angel's debut album opens with The Tower. It starts off with some really kind of weird electronic sounds from Greg Giuffria that have kind of got laser beam sounds and stuff. It's quite ahead of its time, really. And then The Tower is just really powerful and epic. It's quite metally, you know, and the lyrics sort of have that fantasy power metal element to it that kind of predate Rainbow, or certainly in tune with Rainbow the same. Yeah, I doubt they'd have heard that album. I kind of liken it more to Uriah Heep in that respect. You've got a song like The Wizard and so on. It's really good. You got a really strong vocal, and it's just really powerful. And although I know Angel fans might have other tracks they like as much, I doubt many people would bet against The Tower being, if it's not their best track, it's certainly the most important. Next one was Runaway Bon Jovi. Not a band I loved back in sort of 1985, 86 when I was kind of young and gradually went off them. And I don't go back to them. But I've always said I do think the first album by Bon Jovi is good. It's a good hard rock AOR album. And it opens with Runaway. That's a really good song. And it's also probably Bon Jovi's best song. So it's like they opened their first album with their best ever song. And a great solo by Tim Pierce, of course. Same with Don't Tell Me You Love Me by Night Ranger from the Dawn Patrol album. Love Night Ranger, and they've got great songs, but they haven't got a better song than Don't Tell Me You Love Me. It opens the album. It's a brilliant opener. It's a brilliant introduction to the band. It's got fantastic guitar solos. It just ticks all the boxes. As does More Than a Feeling as well. Boston's debut album opens with their signature track, the most famous track. Now, you know, if I've got it to do it as a poll, I'm going to pick Long Time and Foreplay. But that's 8 minutes long. If I want a perfectly crafted song, More Than a Feeling's just incredible. It's an incredible achievement in rock music production, writing, and a fantastic vocal by Brad Delp. If you've not sort of gone into more depth with the vocals, go on Rick Beato's channel and look for his feature on what makes this song great on More Than a Feeling. Absolutely incredible. And the same goes for Kansas. So Carry Wayward Son comes off the Left Overture album. It's a fourth album, but that opens the album, and yeah, it's the most played track on rock radio. One of the most ones, along with More Than a Feeling, tracks like that, and for good reason. And it's amazing how it's got like a powerful lead, it's melodic, but it's also really proggy, and it's got time changes. But an incredible track that manages to take the viewer, listen on a journey. So Karen Wayward Son, another great opening track, another signature track. Crazy Nights, this is the opening track off, I'm doing some sort of hair metal ones here. This is the opening track off the Thundering East album by Loudness. What's great about this is it's just got a great riff by Akira Takasaki. I think it's in G, and it's got G Phrygian mode, so it's kind of unusual to do a riff like this in that particular key. It might be F sharp, but that it just gives it a certain twist. And then it's a great riff. It's got a great guitar sound, one of the best guitar sounds of its era. Yeah, it's Loudness's signature song. It's the song that gets, if people are going to mention Loudness at all, it's going to be for that song. Next up is High Wire, the opening track to the Badlands self-titled debut. Again, this is kind of a great mission statement song. Jakey Lee wanted to make an album that was more in the style of the 70s hard rock he grew up on, like Cactus, Montrose, Nugent, and so on. And this track announces that, you know, it's got raw production, it's a lot drier, it's got really kind of raw guitars, really open drums, kind of full bass with a bit of distortion. Of course, that epic kind of Ray Gillan take on the classic American 70s rock vocal. Phenomenal. And again, possibly the best Badlands track as well. Again, opening with the signature track on the debut album. Can't Get Enough by Winger. Now, Winger had a great opener on the debut album, Madeline, but I think Can't Get Enough's better. What's great about this track is it's so well produced. You starts off with a pumping bass, you've got the synth bass in there, and then Reb just comes in with a really simple power chord progression, and it's so big, it's so huge. Kip is a great vocal, and this is just, it's better than the album. I think I like In the Heart of the Young, but I don't think it's as good as the debut. But, you know, when that album starts off, you're properly G'd up, and this track does it. My next choice for hair metal is You're in Love by Rat. Still remember the first time we put on Invasion in Privacy. This was the first Rat album I ever heard. That drop D riff comes out, and the zing on the guitars, the way it sounds so big with that little slapback delay, phenomenal. Listening to it now, you maybe wouldn't think what's great about that guitar sound, but at the time, that was a guitar sound to rival Van Halen, won in many respects. Okay, on the kind of more classic kind of rock now, MSG, Armed and Ready. Schenker often has good openers, and Armed and Ready, those, again, opening with his signature track. He's probably played this live every single show he's ever played. Great riffage, fantastic solo. Again, it's about statement. I've left UFO, I've had my brief dalliance with the Scorpions. This is what I'm doing now. Gary Barden gives a good performance, really good drums by Simon Phillips. I think the production could be better, but at the time it sounded fucking great, and yeah. And if you go into his UFO career, UFO had some great openers. I'm picking Let It Roll here, another signature track that I played live pretty much all the time from its inception. Comes with the feedback, and it's just high octane tempo. You know, that lovely kind of offbeat feel. A lot of bands have copied in many ways. Brilliant lead break in the middle, of course. Like I said, there's other UFO tracks on You Can Rock Me, Too Hot to Handle, Natural Thing. They're, you know, really good, but I think Let It Roll, that's the one that kind of shows the band growing. Next up, The Wizard, Uriah Heep, and I already kind of mentioned that in terms of the fantasy lyrics, and I think they deserve credit for this. You know, obviously Zepp had some fantasy lyrics, but the Demons and Wizard albums really embraces that, and it's a precursor to Rainbow and how things would go with that style of lyrics. Great opening track, brilliant vocal, lovely acoustic guitars, and just such a short, snappy song, under 3 minutes. It was a pretty big hit for the band and deservedly slow. So one of the very best Uriah Heep tracks, and a brilliant way to open a classic album. Highway Star, Deep Purple, a track that needs no introduction. This is the opening track of Machine Head. For many, seen as their classic album, their definitive album. It's a definitive Purple song. With a fantastic solo. For me, one of the first great sort of planned solos by Richie Blackmore. Incredible interplay with John Law with those arpeggios. Brilliant drumming, bass, the whole band, the whole chemistry of that band coming together to create one of the all-time tracks. And of course, it's about driving as well, and driving cars fast is such a staple of the hard rock and metal genre, and this is where it all started. Barracuda by Heart. So Heart's the previous album, Dream by Annie, opened with a superb Magic Man, and they bettered it on the Little Queen album. The album's not quite as good, but it's a great opening track, the definitive Heart song, the track which gets played when and talked about when discussing Heart. Fantastic vocal performance by Ann Wilson, fantastic lyrics, fantastic riffing, and great little odd time bit. Really good. Motorcycle Man by Saxon. So of course the debut album kind of entered the world with not much fanfare, but like Rock and Roll by Judas Priest. Again, you need to make a statement. You need to get it right. It's your second album. They do, and Motorcycle Man's such an amazing opening because you've got the sound of the motorbikes and it pans, it circles around the stereo spectrum, and then that kind of riffing comes in, holds a power chord, and it's just so high fucking energy. And again, you can see the lineage with a track like Highway Stars about driving the car fast, Motorcycle Man's about driving motorbikes fast. That might be an interesting topic sometime. How many songs have Saxon done about bikes, cars, trains and planes? There's quite a lot, but this is brilliant, and I still remember quite a vivid memory of hearing it the first time. And now I'm going to pick an obscure one. It's Frank Marino, and my choice is You've Got Living off What's Next. Frank Marino's not very well known, but if people know one Frank Marino track, it's going to be You've Got Living. It was on the Axe Attack compilation in 1980, 81, I think, and it opens with What's Next album. It's a brilliant track. It's really catchy, with a cool vocal, cool lyric, and fantastic guitar by Frank. Now, I nearly picked The Power of Rock and Roll, his opener off the album after this, which is an amazing solo, but You've Got Living's a better song, and it's one people might know. If you've not heard any Frank Marino, he's one of the great guitar players you might not have heard. Okay, so that's a count of 25 there, but now I'm going to pick my 10, not in any order, but I will give you my top one, I think. But I had trouble picking the Judas Priest one. Every Judas Priest album opens brilliantly. One for the Road, I really like that. Victims Change is amazing. Sinner's amazing. Exciter's amazing. Rapid Fire's brilliant. Heading Out to Highway's brilliant. Hellion into Electric Eyes, phenomenal. Free Will Burning, Jesus Christ. Turbo Lover, Holy Fuck, Ram It Down. Painkiller. But my top choice is going to be Delivering the Goods. This is the first Priest album to start with a short, sharp shock. I think this track's about 3.5 minutes. They've obviously been listening to Van Halen, AC/DC a bit and shortening the songs, but what I love about this, you get a great vocal by Halford. It's all about delivering the goods on the stage live, the gig experience, which is such a big part of metal. But I think it does what it says on the tin, this track, and you've got that great ending with Les Binks, and you've got Glenn Tipton's one of his greatest solos on this, brilliant guitar solo. It's got a very exciting track, and that's the first time I heard this on the B-side of Living After Midnight. The live version was later released on the reissues of Unleashed in the East. But Delivering the Goods, I could have picked the other tracks, but I think this is maybe the one people might not have picked, and I kind of want to introduce that track. Next up, this is another statement track. It's the band's debut album. It's the first time the world heard them, and if you're going to open an album like this, well, fucking hell, it better be a song as good as this is Running with the Devil by Van Halen. This is nearly number one, this. You've got the car horn, Mike Langley's bass, which is a fantastic bass sound. Boom, boom. It's full of throb. It's got that slight burr, slight bit of distortion gain on it. The guitar comes, it's phenomenal. You've got David Lee Roth pulling off a spectacularly good vocal. Say you want about David Lee Roth, listen to his vocal on Running with the Devil. Him and Ted Templeman spent a long time in it. Ted Templeman almost invented Dave's vocal style on that track. I think what he did really was worked out what David Lee Roth did well, what he could and couldn't do, where his range was, what would work, and he put it all together on that track. You got amazing vocal harmonies and quite a subdued lead break, really. Just Eddie just plays it melodic. He doesn't show his hand with it, and that's interesting. Of course, he'll show his hand in the next track, won't he, on that album? Okay, but again, Halen have Mean Streets could have been in here, and The Cradle Will Rock. Amazing, but Running with the Devil gets it. Next up, Sabbath. So I'm going for Hole in the Sky as one of my favourite opens. Sweet Leaf, War Pigs, they're amazing, but Hole in the Sky is just fucking brilliant. It's just a proper... I love the way it just kind of swings. And again, Ozzy in that era, singing in a higher register, getting up to the notes and just sounding really, really good. Again, brilliant track off what I think might be the best Ozzy era album. And of course, if we're mentioning Sabbath, well, we've got to mention his replacement Dio and Neon Nights. Again, another statement. Ozzy's left, you've got your new singer. had you introduced that singer and your new sound, your adapted sound to the world. And of course you do it with Neon Nights. Probably the best track of the album, probably Dio's finest hour as a singer. Incredible vocal performance. I should just say, going back to the Van Halen thing, I always liked Sammy Hagar, Good Enough. That track got criticised at the time, but that's still my favourite Van Hagar track. And I thought when I put that on Sammy Hagar, it was the same thing, introducing a new singer. Okay, Hell's Bells. You know, sometimes it's easy to get tired of hearing DC tracks like You Shook Me All Night Long, Back in Black, but I never tire of hearing Hell's Bells. And that's because the intro just builds beautifully. And when the whole thing comes together and then Brian comes in, again, it's another, we better do something good. We've got to show what a new singer, what a new sound's like. And you just got to hand it to these bands that I've just mentioned have done that. This track's phenomenal, the production's phenomenal, the guitar's phenomenal. You know, they're probably, whether they decided it was going to be the opener or whether it was like, yeah, this has to open the album. But you've got to hand it to Brian Johnson. I mean, he's fucking fantastic on that album, but particularly on this track. The next one, quite difficult with this band, picking them. I mean, Pictured Life is amazing, Loving You Sunday Morning, but my favourite opening track of Scorpions' album is Bad Boys Running Wild Off Love at First Sting. You've got that great Matthias run at the start, which is kind of chromatic and a bit funny. And then it's just a really good time, fucking, you know, mysterious rocker, The Boys Are Out at Night. And you've got a fantastic jab solo, loads of fills, really melodic. Really commercial, unashamedly commercial but heavy at the same time, with a really simple meaty Rudolph riff. That's something Rudy does, just hammers down those power chords in a very simple form. My next choice is Unchain the Night by Dokken. So this is the opener off Under Lock and Key. Again, what's great about this, it has mystery to it. It starts off with synths, and you've got that lovely picked intro by George. Some kind of, you know, it's quite gothic, and I think that's interesting because Dokken are tied in with hair metal, but their sound is much more European and has darker elements to it. And Don's voice was more European melodic styley than the kind of raspy American style, and that's why Dokken stood out. And of course, the masterful George Lynch's sense of melody. This is great. It's got a classic Lynch tritone riff that he kind of started doing on the When Heaven Comes Down previous album. It's brilliant. It's got a great solo in the middle, great outro solo. It's really well produced. Yeah, it's swamped in reverb, but I really like what Michael Wagner and Neil Kernan did on this album. Brilliant opener. And again, we're at the point where someone's got to introduce themselves, and David Lee Roth, he's left Van Halen, he's got to open up with a bang, and on Yankee Rose on Eat 'Em Smile, he certainly does. This was just mind-blowing when it came out. Steve Vai had done the talking guitar thing apparently with Zappa before that, but it was just like, how the hell's he doing that? The track's great, the guitar's great, Dave's on fire, the production's great. It's weird, you know, when you listen to that track on that album, you know, if that lineup had stayed together, you know, you just think Dave's sorted, but it kind of tailed off, you know, by the end of the 80s. But a brilliant opener. And of course, we've got to have a real statement here, and Still of the Night is one that you've got to have in there. What an opener. Late great John Sykes, incredible riffage. As someone said, he wrote 3 of the best riffs ever for one song. Incredible solo, Coverdale's brilliant. Listen to his isolated vocals, you'll find those on YouTube. Absolutely brilliant. Now, I've just looked down my list, and I did neglect, before I go to my favourite opening track of all time, I did neglect to mention a track by ABBA called The Visitors. So if you like ABBA at all, The Visitors track is what opens the ABBA Voyage show. It's very effective on the album The Visitors, because it's more like electro pop. Really cool, but when you say ABBA Voyage, it's fucking amazing. And it's a real bold opener, and it showed another side to ABBA. So that was kind of my wild card, but yeah, it's amazing. So my favourite opening track of all time, this lives long in the memory. No opening track, I think, has ever made as big an effect on me. My brother came home, he'd been on a school trip to Edinburgh. He had 2 albums with him. One was Killing Machine by Judas Priest. I've told this story before. The other was, I'll not tell you, I think maybe we listen to Priesthood. No, I think we listen to this first. I don't know. Anyway, we put it on. Of course, you're probably thinking, what's he doing? It's Tarot Woman. What a fucking Tony Carey. If he'd stayed more in, a big band, he'd be ranked one of the best keyboard players. Because for this track alone, he plays phenomenal on the Rainbow Rising album. Putting himself in the lineage with John Lord. But that intro, I think he came up with it in about an hour messing around. But it's so effective. It's just got great melodies. It's like, it's that sense of mystery. And the choice of sounds is really good because they're kind of quirky in 70s, but they're not dated too much. That intensity builds up. Cozy comes in. It's grooving. And then Dio comes in, just the vocals, the way it shifts mood. And I always say I love Dio's warning songs, where it's like, don't go down Witch's Valley, don't pollute the water, children of the sea. This Tarot Woman, don't go to the bloody fair, don't get your fortune read. Love it. So that is my favourite opening track of all time on an album. It's Tarot Woman by Rainbow off Rainbow Rising. Okay, that's taken 26 minutes. I've been through 35 songs. Okay, right, I'll see you again soon with more stuff like this. Thanks for checking out. Cheers.